What's good, y'all boys? It's Matt from South Beach Sports here, and today we're going to be talking about Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks because, as we all seen last night, they are overperforming expectations, and they're just surprising everyone this year. So before I get into this, just want to remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into this video. So Trae Young and the Hawks have exceeded mainly everyone's expectations. I think if you ask even Hawks fans, I don't think they would have expected their team to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, especially then when they were 14th, in the East a good way through the season. So they completely turned their season around after the firing of Lloyd Pierce and the hiring of Nate McMillan. The team just look like a completely different team. You got Trae Young playing like a superstar after he didn't even make an All-Star team this year. Onyeka Okongwu has been a huge bright spot, looking like a future starting center. Clint Capella's played great defense. He's playing against Julius Randle. Then he has to guard Joel Embiid, and now he's guarding Giannis, and he's doing a good job on all of them, holding his own. And then Kevin Huerter has had his coming out party. DeAndre Hunter is playing amazing before he got hurt. And even with the DeAndre Hunter injury, the Hawks are still holding their own and still performing at a high level. So I just want to, take a deeper look into why the Hawks are playing as good as they are and, what they're going to do to keep playing like this. So in the first series that the Hawks played against the New York Knicks, it was kind of like a toss-up series. It was one of those close things where we didn't really know who was going to win. A lot of people said Hawks, a lot of people said Knicks, but I think the majority of people picked the Knicks, not only because of just the hype surrounding New York. It's their first good season in a long time, but they were expecting the Knicks team to lock down Trae Young with their defensive schemes. It was his first time in the playoffs, so people didn't know how Trae Young would perform. And the Hawks honestly dominated that series. They just were the complete better team. The only game they lost is because they blew a lead. They're young. Stuff like that's gonna happen. But all 5 games, the Hawks dominated. Even one game they lost, they were dominating. So they just looked like the completely better team in that series. Then they make it to the second round with Philadelphia. And Philly you could say Philly underperformed, but Joel Embiid was doing his thing despite his turnover issues, and he gets tired in the fourth quarter, but you expect that from Joel Embiid. Obviously Ben Simmons underperformed, but through the playoffs we know that's kind of what he does. He was having a decent playoffs before this series, but he's done it in years past. He underperforms when the lights get bright. And the same thing with Tobias Harris. You really can't depend on Tobias Harris and all that. So the Hawks took advantage of that despite the DeAndre Hunter injury. They took advantage, and Trae Young is really coming out. And, I think he has an argument for top 5 point guards in the league right now. Obviously, you're going to have Steph there. Steph, Dame, Kyrie. And then I think other than those 3, you can put Trae Young up there with anyone. Like Westbrook, I would take Trae Young over Westbrook right now. Jamal Murray, any other elite point guard that you could think of. Maybe someone slipping my mind, but I think Trae Young has an argument over any other point guard besides those 3. If you want to count Luka as a point guard, him too. But Trae Young is making his case as a superstar. Not just a star, which he didn't even make an All-Star team this year, which is crazy. After he started last year, he actually had better numbers through the All-Star break than he did the year that he did make the team. But I just think we're seeing the coming out party of Trae Young. His pick and roll game is honestly second to none, maybe only second to Luka and like James Harden. But the way that he operates in the pick and roll, especially against the Bucks, who are with Coach Bud, one of the worst pick and roll defending teams I've ever seen in my life. They just honestly, with Brook Lopez and his drop coverage, their unwillingness to play Giannis at center. Trae Young is just, well, in the game 1, he feasted. You know, he was getting into the lane, getting whatever he wanted. He was either dumping it off to Clint Capella, or he was throwing the lob to Clint Capella, getting a floater, getting a wide open three. He's shimmying on the Bucks. Like he has too much confidence right now for a team that's supposed to be one of the best defensive teams in the league, and he's playing with them in his first playoff. This is his first playoff run, and he's acting like this team is like an 8 seed. It looks like an 8 seed versus a 1 seed. He's just having fun. Like, and he's throwing lobs off the backboard to John Collins. He's just having fun out there, which, you know, I think it just shows how creative, how talented, you know, how good Trae Young is so early. And he's really making a case of not only top 5 point guard, but if Trae Young's not in your top 20 players in the league right now, I think you're mistaken right now, because he's just been playing on a completely different level. He's averaging 29 and 11 for these playoffs, which a lot of players in the league can't say that. You know, the best players on your team, you know, a lot of players, you know, Luka, as much as I love Luka and I think he's better than Trae Young, he hasn't led his team to an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. You know, not DeMar DeRozan, but a significant amount of all-stars in our league don't lead their teams to Eastern Conference Finals appearances. I don't think people don't understand how significant this is, and especially if they make a finals run, then I think Trae Young has an argument over Kyrie, over Damian Lillard, because those guys haven't done that. Like, Kyrie or Dame has never led their team to a finals appearance as the best player on their team. You know, and Trae Young, if he does that in his first playoff series, he has a legitimate argument for being better than those guys. And, you know, at that point, if the Hawks go to the finals, the only point guard that will have something to say about Trae Young is Steph Curry, if we're being honest. So regardless of what happens, if the Hawks lose or not, if they just get to the finals, he's going to be in that top tier, that approaching that Steph Curry tier of point guard. So, I mean, I think we have to watch this series carefully, you know, see what adjustments the Bucks make, because I doubt every game will go like game 1. You know, despite Coach Bud doesn't like to make adjustments, but the Bucks are going to make adjustments somewhat, hopefully, at least. So this should be a long series, because the Hawks are proving that they're legit. And, you know, we're going to see how really good Trae Young is. I mean, how good Trae Young really is. You know, if he's, you know, going to that Steph Curry tier, or he's going to stay in that tier 2 with Dame and Kyrie. So I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about where you think Trae Young ranks in the NBA, and peace.